Don't need no friends, just me. Nobody keep telling myself I got it. I don't want, don't need nobody to do my shit for me. I got it. I'm carefree, can't nobody do it like me, cause I'm so got it. Don't want no smoke.
Hey everybody, welcome to Chats with Sue, or you already know what I'm gonna say, whatever we're gonna call it. Today's video is gonna be a little different. I know I said that I was gonna do a part 3, but we can talk about it, but I got some other things that I want to talk about. I'm just gonna come to y'all straight up. My life is not perfect. It's you know, with marriage and family. I want to bring y'all into my life. I am a single mother with about to have 3 children. And I am going to tell you all why, because I need to get this off my chest, and I need to just, somebody gotta listen to me, y'all. Every time I try to talk to people, nobody listens to me, and I had enough. I gotta get it out. I'm sick of my life revolving around narcissists, and I seem to continue to attract it, and I want that shit to end. So I'm just gonna flat out tell y'all. So my husband and I are no longer together. It wasn't necessarily a legal marriage, it was more so common law, because we've been together for so long. And yeah, it was smart though, but I'ma just get right into it. So I've been in a relationship with this guy since high school, and yeah, I've been with this guy since high school. I didn't really like him because he kept cheating on me, and so I kind of broke up with him a little bit before prom and everything. So yeah, I just couldn't take it. So after about maybe 2 years, well, in those 2 years, I ended up dating someone else that was a narcissist and that was kind of starting to get abusive with me. So I ended that relationship. After that ended up, and then all of the stuff happened, like I told y'all in part 1 and 2 about me going to Georgia and everything. When I came back, I ended up getting with my children's father, and like I said, I ended up getting pregnant. So in that time of me getting pregnant, oh, I hope y'all can hear me. In that time of me getting pregnant, I went through absolute hell with this guy. We're going to call him, y'all already probably know his fucking name, but we're just gonna call him hubby. Just call him that. So the first time I got pregnant, it was like immediately, like as soon as I came out, he was like love bombing me and stuff and trying to get me to come and stay with him, even after I was explaining to him all the things that I just endured out in Atlanta and stuff. And he told me that he wanted a family, he wouldn't be anything like that. You know, that's what they all fucking say every goddamn time. They always say, hey, I'm not like the last guy, I'm gonna treat you better. You know what, let me not even get too much into it. So anywho, yeah, so he told me he wouldn't be like the last guy. He wanted a family, that's all he ever wanted in life. He's a good guy, and he came off as really fucking nice. Like, he would bring me gifts all the time. He would like spoil the shit out of me. He would take me on dates, and you know, I thought everything was lovely. He bought me, oops, sorry, I'm spitting. And he would buy me flowers and all type of things. So of course that kind of drove me for a while. Love bombing. And like maybe a month and a half to 2 months in, boom, I'm pregnant. So the beginning of the pregnancy, I started to, everything was cool. till about maybe third month or second month. And as I'm going into the pregnancy, he started to cheat on me. I started noticing that there were, drawers, panties, and shit left around the house. I'm finding condoms in his car. And one day I was using his phone to handle some business. He's got all these naked hoes in his phone, titties and booty and all that stuff in there. I'm just like, wow. It was kind of stressful during my first pregnancy. And I'm just like, bro, why are you doing this to me? It was points where I was, after I moved in with him, after he got me in there, that's when everything started. It took me about maybe those first 2 months after I got pregnant. I moved in with him because I was like, okay, we're going to be a family. I'm not going to just be, a baby mom or anything. So I stayed there, and while I would sleep, he would text females. He would text women, having whole secret relationships behind my back. Like, I'm literally sleeping in the bed right next to him, and he was just that bold. So I ended up, we kept getting into disagreements because, of course, no female likes that. I don't like that. I'm not perfect, but one thing I am is I'm loyal, and I don't play when it comes down to a relationship. I take it very seriously, but apparently he didn't. So, I got tired of the cheating, and I would try to leave. Every time that I would leave him, he would manipulate me into coming back. Like, I would leave and I would go back to my father's home, and he would come back to my father's house with gifts, apologies. He's crying and telling me how sorry he is. Then I ended up getting so close with his mom. So when she started, maybe around my 6th month of pregnancy, she died. Like, she was dying, and she was really excited for the baby. So I kind of was thinking more about her than I would think about, myself or the relationship and how I was getting treated. I put everyone before me and their emotions. So I ended up taking him back. He would come back, and I went back and lived with him again. This time we got into it, and he put me out of his house when I was pregnant. I didn't have anywhere to go, and it was a possibility that I would have to sleep out of my car because me and my father weren't doing the best. And so I ended up having to go stay with a friend. At the time, I stayed with them for a couple of days. Meanwhile, hubby did not check up on me. He didn't, see how I was doing. He didn't make sure that I had somewhere to go. He didn't give a damn, because what he was doing was focusing on the next, in between somebody's legs that he could get, if y'all know what I'm trying to say. So, I was gone for a couple of days. He ended up manipulating me to come back. I came back because I'm like, I really want the father to be a part of my child's life. I really want him to be there. Around maybe month 6, his mother died, and I felt so bad for him, but he had just got done cheating on me, and I was so pissed off because I found out he was having an affair at work. And he ended up giving me a disease. He gave me chlamydia. That's the first time in my life I have ever had a disease in my life, y'all. I don't give a fuck if you judge me. Judge me. Shit, I'm human. Shit, I wasn't out here doing anything I didn't have any business doing. And sometimes these men get out here and they trick these women, and that's how I got myself into that. But you know what? I felt so bad for him about his mom dying, and oh my God, y'all, I'm so sorry. This is hard. This is hard. This is embarrassing. I'm really putting myself on the line now. So I ended up feeling bad because his mom died, and I ended up getting through things. We got the medicine and stuff like that, and I paid for him to get his and everything, and we was all good after that. So I was like, and of course when we found out, first of all, my first instinct was to whoop his ass, but you know what? He's trying to blame me, and he don't know where it came from, and he's playing an innocent role. Of course, all guys do that shit. So I'm just like, you know what? I let it go over my shoulder because his mom died, and I had too much empathy. So I decided to still stay with him, to be his shoulder to cry on, because I made a promise that I'd be there, and when I promise something, I mean it. I'm just a really good person, whether people want to believe it or not. So I took him back, and I still stayed there. The cheating continued, but around that time, maybe like a week after his mom died, the cheating still continued, but he told me that he wanted some space to grieve. He told me he needed some space, like he wanted me to leave his house. And I left, and I went back to my dad's house, and he told me that he still wanted the relationship to continue, but he just wanted a little bit of space. Okay, cool. So then I'm like, okay, well, your mom just passed. I feel bad for you. So why don't I just come over, and cook you some food or something, then I can leave. Then all of a sudden it became, what happened to wanting space? I'm just like, well, damn, like I thought it was still a relationship though, like what's going on? Then he became kind of aggressive towards me more and more, and it went to no contact at all. And then I'm just like, what the hell? So he ghosted me, and then a couple days later he decided to tell me he wants to break things off, and I'm just like, I'm pregnant with your child, and I've been here for you, for your mom, like what the hell? And I tried to plead my case with him. I tried to fight for him, but he didn't want that. So I never fought as hard in my life for anybody as I did for him, and I fought for him to stay, and he didn't want it. He didn't want me to stay. So I said, all right. After that, I continued my pregnancy kind of alone. I didn't know that during some of that time that we were together up until then, even while I was pregnant, he had a whole relationship going on with somebody, and I didn't find out until around the time of the baby shower, about like 3 months later. So I'm about 7 months pregnant. And I didn't even know that he was going to show up to the baby shower, because I didn't hear anything from him when I was calling for doctor's visits, and when I was about to have an emergency induction. He was not answering the phone. I had to call his auntie and them, and his auntie was the one telling me he had a whole female, and I'm just like, wow. Whole time they had a whole little relationship going on behind the doors, and I ain't even know about it. So even when I was living with him, like he had this relationship going on, and I did not know. So, yeah, he came to the baby shower, and that was the first time I seen him, and I told him that he needs to respond to me more, because like if you're going to be a part of her life, I need you to, at least contact me or something at some point. He was like, yeah, he acted like he was going to be there. Boom. After the baby shower, I didn't hear shit else from him until a couple days before my baby was born, and I was getting an induction, and he decided that he wanted to be there. This is around the time that all of a sudden all his people trying to put in his ear that it was not his child, but it was. It's just I got pregnant fast. He was so quick to knock me up, y'all, that it didn't seem like it was his. So boom, we end up going up there to the hospital together, and he stayed there with me. But after the first day, once he saw the baby, he automatically knew, okay, that's my child, because she came out looking exactly like him. Like She had his whole fucking face. So yeah, then he found out that was his child. Then like he kept trying to leave and stuff while I was in the hospital. And he said he was just gonna try to go take a shower or whatever the whole time. I guess he was trying to get back to his chick. So he acted like he wanted to be a part of her life, and I was still staying with my father at the time. And like I said, for the first 5 months after she was born, his family was putting in his head that that wasn't his child and stuff, and that's what he claims. And so I know that the same month that my daughter was born, I remember Christmas came up after a couple of weeks, and he showed up to my father's house empty-handed. He didn't bring anything for her. So I was upset because I'm just like, you just, that's kind of messed up. And I know she was just born and all, but that's kind of messed up. So throughout those couple months, he acted like he wanted to come around. He only would come to my father's house maybe about 20 minutes, probably not even that long, of like maybe once every other week to come hold her and rock her while she's going to sleep, and then he would go back about his business, back to his relationship and stuff. So after a couple of months, I guess after his relationship ended, he decided that he wanted to come back to me. So he comes back with wine bottles, my favorite wine, teddy bears, candy, fruits, all the stuff that I like. He came with jewelry. He came acting like the man. He came taking me out and treating me like a queen all over again, and saying how sorry he was. And so I fell for the okie doke. I went back and I moved me and my stuff back in his house, which was a huge mistake because the things kind of got worse. So once I got there, everything was cool at first, and after about a week, the cheating started back up again. The lies started back up again. He would lie about simple shit. It came a point, I'm trying to think. So it came a point where I just felt like I couldn't take it anymore again. And like I told y'all, I have a leaving problem. So I was like, it's time for me to go. And I was trying to leave, and he didn't want me to leave. So to try to keep me from leaving, he used our daughter against me, and he picked her up, and when I was trying to leave, he was like, you're not leaving my house with my daughter. And I'm like, bro, give me my baby. I'm not leaving without my child. He like, no, my baby's staying here and all this and that, and if you can stay here. But I'm like, no, I want to go. And he tried to prevent me from leaving, and he picked her up, and he was like every time I reached for her, he would turn, and the way he was doing it, her head's just doing all this. And mind you, she's a baby, like she's like still a newborn at the time, and so her little head, she couldn't even hold it up straight. It's just bobbling all over the place, and she's like crying because he's hurting her. My instinct is, okay, you're hurting my baby, now I'm pissed off. So I am woman enough to admit I kind of shoved him, because I'm like, give me my fucking baby. Now I'm getting angry. Give me my baby. And so I told him, put my baby down. I'm not about to fight with you with my child. Give me my baby so I can leave. I'm not staying here. And he ended up putting her down. We're arguing in the kitchen. He kind of, I kind of shoved him again, and he ends up choking me against the refrigerator. And it was like he had this little telephone on the wall, like one of those old school, the one that you gotta like, spin that joint, and the telephone, y'all know what I'm talking about, come on now. So I took the phone off the wall, and because he was choking me so tight and I started seeing stars, I cracked his ass in the head, and he had a split right there. I split his head open. And I also left out a huge part. In the time that I was back with him. I got pregnant again, and I was pregnant at this time, and I was like, bro, I don't have time for this shit, bro. I got a newborn, I'm pregnant again, and this is crazy. Like I said, he choked me against the wall. I cracked him in the head with the phone. He picks me up in the air, slammed me to the ground, y'all. Immediately, I start bleeding. And out of my vagina. Y'all know, stop playing, bro. Y'all know what the fuck going on. So I start bleeding, and yeah, it was real bad. Real bad. And I knew that I was miscarrying at that moment. After I started bleeding, I started crying, and then he came talking about, I'm so sorry, and I tried to, I felt bad. I don't know why, but I felt bad for him, even though I was hurt more. And I tried to, clean up his forehead and put a Band-Aid on it and get him together. And I told him I need to go to the hospital. We argued in the car the whole way to the hospital, and when I told him that I would tell the police what happened, he dropped me off on the side of the road. So I got out the car and I was like, fuck it, I'll walk the rest of the way. He had my baby in the car and all of my items, my phone, my keys, my purse, all that. So I'm just walking, and it was this school close by. So I seen some people sitting outside of the school, and it was like some teachers. It was like 3 ladies, and I walked up to them, and I asked one of them, could I use their phone? I kind of explained what just happened. I needed to call my father. I need to go to the hospital. I'm at the beginning of a miscarriage. I'm bleeding out. It's crazy. So in the meantime that I'm doing all of this, hubby done decided to go over to his family's house, his grandma and his auntie's house, to go over there and tell them that I bust his head open and I'm just beating on him for no reason, and he's scared for his life. And so yeah, meanwhile I'm sitting up trying to call my father. I call my father and I'm like, Dad, I need help. I'm walking, I'm bleeding out. I'm trying to explain to him what happened, but my dad was more focused on the fact that you just had a baby a couple months ago and you pregnant again already. Like, that's some hoe shit. Like, my dad told me I was a hoe. I'm like, how am I being a hoe when it's the same child's father? That doesn't make sense to me. And he told me that he was not gonna come help me. So y'all, I tried to ask my stepmom, and she was like that she was at work and she was busy. She wasn't gonna be there no time soon. So I had to continue to walk. In that moment, I was about to try to kill myself. I was walking and I had to make that walk, and I was about to walk out into traffic, and just when I hit the curb, I was just about to walk out into traffic. Hubby pulls up with my baby in the car. Like, right at that moment, he pulled up with her in the car. And he comes back and he's like, I'm gonna take you to the hospital. I'm gonna take you to the hospital. So I try to go to the hospital, but he wouldn't let me go in there. He kept trying to argue with me because he was afraid that I was gonna tell on him, about what had happened. And he knew he would go to jail for that. So I didn't end up going to the hospital because he pissed me off too bad, and I didn't want to be in there, and I didn't want to leave him with my baby alone. I couldn't. So I ended up walking back to my father's house. And I told my father that, I needed him to watch my baby for me so I can go get her some milk. He told me my dad told me he was going to the gym. He didn't have time for that. So I was like, bro, what? Like, you always doing this. He told me, get out of his house. I'm not welcome there. So I didn't have any money. Also, I left out. The time that I was staying with him before all this happened, I had a lot of money saved up. I had just got my taxes. I had food stamps. I had money. he ended up, you know, manipulating me into spending it all on him. And once it was all gone at this point, that's when he kicked me to the curb. And that's how it came to all this. So I had nothing left. I didn't have any WIC to get my baby any milk because I had left. Like, I spent every single dime that I had. I had nothing. He sucked me dry, y'all. I had nothing. And I had about $6,000 worth of taxes saved up. Sorry, y'all. I ain't trying to flash y'all my goodies. But yeah, I had about $6,000 saved up, and he just sucked me dry out of all of it. And then I didn't have a way to get my baby any milk. She needed it. She was crying. I didn't have any clothes for her because they was all at his house, and he had the car. My car was messed up at the time, so I didn't have a way to get back to his house. He like went completely fucking ghost for that whole day. I was trying to reach out to him to try to tell him, hey, I need the milk for the baby. I need stuff for the baby. Yeah, he went ghost for that whole like day for a bunch of hours. And nobody, not even his family, could reach him. So I didn't have any money. And I ended up like, damn, like I'm going to end up having to do what I got to do for my baby. I'm going to have to steal out the store. And I started crying because I'm not a thief. I didn't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to risk anything like that when it comes down to my baby. That's scary as hell. I'm all she got. So, excuse me, y'all. I ended up getting ready to walk to the store, and I called my stepmother, and I was crying, and I told her I love her. I'm about to be probably in jail after I do what I need to do, but I need to get my baby some milk. So I got my baby on my hip. I'm bleeding out. All this is going on. My dad just did that to me, and I ended up walking over to the store, but thank God she sent me some money to buy the milk, and she bought me the bottle. And then since my dad wouldn't let me come back to his house, I walked to hubby's grandma's house. I didn't know that he went back and told these people that I did all this horrible stuff to him until the next day. So I didn't have anywhere to go, and I ended up having to reach out to hubby, and he finally said something to me that night, and he told me that I could spend the night there at his home again. So I stayed the night, and when I got there, all of my things were in garbage bags, packed up and at the door. And I was just like, wow. So he said it was a joke, and he was staying the night out. It was just a joke. When he came back, he was going to put it all back. I just needed somewhere to go, so I spent the night. He was gone, like I said, all night. The next day, he came back, and he was, his granddad called to check on him and was like, hey, you all right? And I'm just like confused. And he was like, yeah, I'm okay. And he was like, his granddad was like, hey, where's Ashanti at? And he was like, she's at her dad's house. I'm like, I'm sitting right fucking here. So that's weird. So that kind of threw me off, and I just kind of got a bad sense to leave. So I said, you know what? I gotta go. I'm not gonna live in secret around here. This is crazy. I don't understand what's going on. I didn't know that he told them all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta go. I just gotta leave. So he tried to tell me, I said, I don't know where you was at last night. You left me here all alone. My stuff was at the door. Now all of a sudden you're back and acting like nothing happened. You probably was at some bitch's house. And he's like, no, I was with my auntie. I swear. So he decides to call his auntie. He calls his auntie, I was with you. Like, tell her I was with you. She don't believe me, and she trying to leave and all this and that. So that's when the auntie was like, put Ashanti on the phone. I get the phone, and like I said, I never disrespected her before. And like I told y'all in part 2, that she was like, bitch, don't worry about where the fuck he was at and who he was with and all this. I'm just like, and I gave him his phone back. I'm like, they're not finna talk to me like that. I don't understand. I never been nothing but respectful to these people. And so he ended up talking to her for a second. I don't know what was said because I started packing my shit to get out. That was it. So I'm packing all my things back up, and as I'm getting ready to leave, like I said, I'm waiting on my ride to get there. I'm still packing my things up. That's when his auntie came, and then the fight busted out, and that happened. Yeah, the fight happened, and then after the fight happens and my friend finally gets there, his auntie, his brother, and him, they partook in throwing my things out. And after I fought his auntie, he started calling me bitches in her face, telling me I need to get the hell out of his house because I put my hands on his auntie. I'm a bitch. I'm all this and that. And I could not believe that he's talking to me like that when I did nothing wrong. I didn't even know you went telling these people this stuff. And now this lady is fighting me because you done went and lied to her and told her that I done beat you up, but you didn't tell her what you did to me. You didn't tell her how you choked me out. You didn't tell her how you slammed me to the ground, made me lose this baby. You didn't tell her about none of that. So they partake in throwing my stuff. He's kicking my shit all over the front yard, like my clothes. He kicked it like a fucking soccer ball. It was so humiliating, y'all. The neighbors was seeing it. It was embarrassing. So my friend got there. They're putting the stuff in the car, and his brother's antagonizing me, talk about you better not come your ass back, bitch, and all. They all partaking and talking shit to me. My best friend was like, hey, y'all ain't gotta do all that. Y'all see she's leaving. It does not take all that. So I ended up leaving and going back to my dad's house. I stayed at my dad's for like a couple of months, and after that, hubby comes back and manipulates me with gifts and sorries and apologies and seducing me and all type of things. I ended up going back, and we couldn't get along very long at all, and I ended up leaving again. But at this point, around this time, he started getting like 30-day notices and stuff on his house because he wasn't keeping up with paying his bills and stuff. Now, yeah, he was getting his notices to leave and stuff. So after a while, I ended up leaving, or no, he put me out again. And this time I would stay with my dad, and then he went no contact with me. And then this is when he went to Springfield, and he was in Springfield with some chick. I didn't know that he was gone for a very long time. I just knew that he was not talking to me. He was not in communications. When I would call him, he wouldn't answer. I would text him. He would not respond. I would leave him voicemails. He wouldn't respond. I would ask his family to reach out to him. He would not respond to them. Nobody knew where the hell he was at. I ended up getting in touch with him after a couple months later. Like I said, that's when he told me he was in Springfield. That's when we was trying to work on trying to, work with him and spending time with my daughter by himself. And I let him take her with him. Now, in that time, that's when I didn't know he lost his place. And then, like I said, after all the fight happened and stuff like that with his auntie and stuff, that's when everything took place with me trying to dance, me and my father putting me out and going to Mississippi and coming back, and I ended up getting my place. Now, once I got my place, all of a goddamn sudden, this motherfucker is back. Now he want to come visit his daughter. And I'm like, okay. After maybe a month of him coming to visit, all of a sudden, he decides he wants to continue the engagement and he wants to get married right away. And he decides that he wants to try to come back and stay with me. And I'm thinking he wants to come back to stay with me and be a family match. We agreed to having children, whether we were cool or not, because I don't want to have several baby daddies. I want all my children by the same guy. So hubby and I agreed to giving my baby a sibling. And he came to give me, seduce me to get the baby. And I wanted him to leave. But he wouldn't leave after that. Like, it was very hard to get him to leave. Once I asked him to leave my house, he kicked his fucking clothes all over my living room. He started like punching the walls and he started going fucking ballistic. And I'm just like, bro, because he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave the home. He didn't want to feel, get what he dished out, being put out of someone else's house. And so, mind you, when he did come back and the time he asked to, stay with me and stuff, he was still cheating on me, y'all. He was still cheating. He was cheating on me with the same girl that he was in Springfield with because he didn't want to leave her alone, which I told him, take your ass on back out there, but he didn't want to go back out there. So, yeah, he stopped working. He was working with, when he was out there in Springfield, but when he came back, he was not working. He would not get a job. So it came a point where, I'm like, okay, if you're going to stay here, you need to get a job. You need to bring some money in to help me pay some of these bills. He wouldn't get a job. I was paying his phone bill. I paid for everything for him. I would buy him food. I would buy him clothes. I would buy him drawers. I would buy him video games. I would buy him everything that he asked for, but he wouldn't bring any money in. So I got pregnant, but the violence, it started to begin. Like, we would have several physical fights while I was pregnant with my second child. And yeah, we would have several times like physically fighting because I would ask him to leave, and because he didn't want to leave, and when I would threaten to call the police, he would attack me. So I was like, okay, you need to get a job, you need to get a job, you need to get a job. He wouldn't get a job, so I started trying to convince other people around me to tell him to get a job. Hey, maybe a man can tell him and he'll listen to them, or maybe a guy can tell him and he'll listen to them. But instead, it didn't work out in my favor at all. He would end up he would turn down jobs. When people would try to give him jobs, they was throwing them at him left and right, trying to help him. My family would try to help him get onto jobs. He would not take the jobs. He didn't want to work. He said he don't want to work for a white man or whatever that means. So he wouldn't work. And I still allowed him to stay with me. And like I said, I was living in the hood, and then I was getting anxiety because I'm like, okay, and then it came a point where we was living in the hood. It was hard to get a job. It was very extremely hard to get a job. I couldn't even get one. So we moved to, Glenwood, Illinois. He was like, once we move, I'm going to get a job right away. That was my plan and all this and that. So once I moved to Glenwood, of course, he did not get a job. He still wouldn't get a job. So I started going to this church. And once I started going to this church, they threw like a baby shower for us because his family never did anything for my baby. My baby is going on 3 years old. They have never done anything for my baby. They have not bought her clothes. They have not bought her toys. They have not done shit for her. Do you understand? So I tried to tell his family to convince him to get a job. He would get mad at them and disassociate because he feel like they're trying to tell him what he should and shouldn't be doing, and he a grown ass man or whatever. So that shit happens. He still wouldn't get a job. We ended up going to this church, and all of a sudden it's this bitch up there, and he found her to be so cute or whatever, so he giving her Google eyes throughout the whole church services every time we were up there. Then he turns around and he giving her Google eyes and stuff, and he's trying to like talk to her on the low and stuff, making a fool out of me and embarrassing me. So once I told him that I'm not gonna be dealing with that stuff, he's talking about, well, we could just stop going to church altogether. So now all of a sudden he's making me disassociate from things that I want to do and things that I like to do because he does not know how to contain himself. He doesn't know how to, act. So I stopped going to the church because of him. I stopped associating with them because of him. I stopped associating with a lot of friends and family because of him, because he said that when they asked me to get a job, they wrong for that. So he kind of manipulated me to make me think that they were wrong. And after that, I'm trying to think what happened next. it was a point. So I ended up, you know, it was getting close to time for me to leave, and I had the baby. He still wouldn't get a job. Boom, I get pregnant again. And this time, y'all, shit got real. So I had this mentor or whatever at this program, and she was like, you know, like guiding me to go in the right direction, like going to church and telling me how to, you know, get my life together and stuff. So she was like that, hey, y'all working on y'all third child now. Somebody needs to get a job, and if you're pregnant, you can't get one, so it probably should be hubby. So oh my god, y'all, hubby got so angry that day, and he decided that he didn't want me talking to her anymore. And just so happened, we was actually about to get ready to go somewhere. I was about to go pick up a crib for my youngest daughter. And that day, she told him to get a job. And after she got off the phone, I told him that I agree with her. He should get a job. And when I told him that, y'all, he went ballistic. He went absolutely crazy, y'all. He said, I'm sick of this shit. Got on top of me and strangled me, y'all. My babies, both of my babies, was right in front of me. Like, if they reached out to touch me, they could have touched me. They was right next to me while I'm getting strangled. My babies are looking dead at him. He didn't even care. He kept choking me, kept choking me. I said, you know what? I fought him off of me, and I told him, I'm gonna call the police. He immediately grabs my phone and he puts it in his pocket. And when I would try to grab for my phone, he would restrain me so that I could not grab it, my phone. And he took his phone and every device that I had, and he just so happened to drop one. And when I went for it and I picked it up to go to call, he tackled me like a football player, and he got on top of me and he strangled me to the floor like this. And it kept getting tighter and tighter, and I felt myself getting ready to exit my body. I felt it. I was like past blackout mode, past seeing stars. I couldn't breathe. And my baby, my oldest baby, was screaming. I ain't never heard my baby scream like that before. She stood in the doorway watching him and she screamed. My youngest baby screamed. And if it wasn't for them screaming, I probably would have let go. Their voices was the only thing that I could hold on to. And ooh, y'all, I hope I don't bust out crying. Like, I hate this. So yeah, they ended up, they were screaming, and all I could do was, at that moment, I didn't have no more fight left in me, and I ended up screaming for help. And I said, hey, can somebody help me? Somebody call the police. Oh, I'm sorry. I said, can somebody call the police? And thank God one of the neighbors heard me across the hall. And oh, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm not trying to cry. One of the neighbors heard me, and when he got up off of me, because he started to panic because I screamed so loud that someone heard me and my babies. Once he got off of me, I ran across the hall and I knocked on their door, and I was asking if someone could call the police, and the lady was like, I'm already on the phone with them. I heard everything. So to protect myself, I ended up going and sitting on the stairs in the hallway right outside their door, and I waited for the police to come. And once the police came, like I said, before the police came, he called his auntie, and he started talking all this stuff, trying to make it seem like I was crazy and like I'm just abusive and I'm doing stuff to him when I did nothing to him. All I did was tell him to get a job. And yeah, he started talking all this shit to them, and by the time the police came, he was still on the phone, and he knew he was in trouble. So the police came. I explained to them what happened. He got arrested. I put a restraining order on him, and when I did that, he went to jail, and the next day he got out. He ended up coming to my house with the restraining order on him. He still showed up. And he came to my house bearing gifts. He wrote me a letter of how sorry he was. He told me he was so sorry. That's not him. He came crying. And I just started to get a little scared because I'm like, if you willing to come to my house, knowing you have a restraining order on you, what's stopping you from coming in my house and killing me dead so I don't call the police and I'm all my children got, you know? So I let him come back. I let him talk me into letting him come back because I was scared. And he told me it was going to be hard for me to take care of these kids by myself. Nobody would want me. And so that ended up happening. And I let him stay with me. And before I left there, I was on a housing program that was like for 2 years, and my 2 years was ending, so I was trying to find somewhere to go. And I knew that I was going to be homeless in a couple of months, and so I told him that I think that I need some time to get myself together, and I needed to figure out if that's what I really wanted, if I wanted to continue the marriage or if I wanted to, you know, go live by myself, because I knew that I was going to be moving somewhere out of the state. So I'm in my head and I'm just like, I don't know. My mind was cloudy and I didn't know what I wanted to do. If I wanted him there, I felt like I needed a man to be there to help me out with different things, like, you know, lifting and stuff, because I ended up, after I let him come back, y'all, guess what my stupid ass did? This is what happened. And I let him come back. He got me pregnant. And he would tell me nobody would want to be with me with 3 children by myself. And so I let him come back. And when I left, I ended up being homeless for 2 months. I left in June and I was completely homeless. When I say homeless, I mean homeless. I was sleeping out of my car with my children and him for a couple of nights. Somebody was nice enough to pay, the third night, I ended up going into a hotel to try to wash up and stuff, and somebody felt sorry for us at the hotel and let us stay a night for free. They bought me and my family food. And the next day after we left, they gave us $100. We was back sleeping in the car again outside of Walmart, in this new state, by the way. And somebody ended up getting me a couple of nights at a hotel again. And then when I got there, God blessed me, and it was some strangers. It was a couple, and they were very nice to us. They paid for me to stay at the hotel for a very long time. And they paid for me to stay at the hotel for like at least 3 weeks, and it was very expensive. And they gave me over $1,000 to take care of us and stuff, and they made sure we were okay. They hung out with us every day. And yeah, of course, he was there spending up all the goddamn money as usual, not getting a job, still wouldn't get a job. They was trying to help him get jobs out here. He would not get a job. He was like, no, I'm not gonna leave my family and all this and that. And so they didn't have any shelter for me to stay at the time. It wasn't the beginning of the fiscal year yet. So I ended up yeah, going back and forth, staying from hotels to my car. Excuse me. So I ended up getting accepted into the shelter after about a month. I ended up staying in this shelter, and the time I was in the shelter, you know, it was just more emotional abuse than anything. And then we kept getting into it. I kept telling him I didn't want him here, and I didn't trust him, and yeah, we would have our little, you know, fights and arguments and disagreements in front of the children. And recently, a couple, maybe two and a half weeks ago, I just got my new place that I'm in now. Thank God. Thank God. I got this place. And I got the place and everything was fine. But meanwhile, in the time of being homeless and staying at the hotel and stuff, he was interested in some other chick that was up there, you know. Like I said, we went to the church and stuff out here. He was all in her face, Google-eyeing her, and I guess they was talking, and I guess they may have had sex, because I found some drawers in my goddamn suitcase, y'all. I'm pregnant with this man's child, homeless, and this man is still cheating on me. So that happens. After that, I get the place, and it's away. It's like, you know, a couple of like 45 minutes away from where I was homeless at. I get the place, I move in and everything, and it's like a Walmart like directly behind my house. We go to the Walmart like a week later, and he already done found some bitch that he fucking and Google-eyeing and stuff and staring at and watching the whole time. I was like, you know what? I'm tired. This have gone on for years. I'm tired. You don't know how to be a husband, and I understand that now. I'm done being a good wife to you. I'm done catering to you. I'm done being your punching bag and your doormat. So I told him he needed to leave. He gave me a hard time about leaving, and thank God I stay in an all-white area, so all it took was for me to get loud, and he started to get afraid. So he ended up leaving, and then he had my food stamp card, and I told him, yeah, I'm gonna need that back. You're not running off with my money, baby. So yeah, he brings it back, and I told him that drop my card off and leave. He came in my house and seduced me. I told him that I need him to leave. He said he's not going anywhere. He's not leaving his family. He did not respect my boundaries. I told him to leave several times. He would not leave. When I asked him to get away from me, like, he would try to act like he wants to hug me and stuff. And that's where I fear, because that's where he gets really aggressive and he'll end up putting his hands on me. So I tell him I need at least 10 feet away from you when we're talking. And he has a habit of coming up and trying to hug me when I'm upset, and I don't like that shit. So yeah, he wouldn't give me space and stuff, and I let him stay even longer because out of fear. And a couple days later, which was maybe a few days ago, it came a point where he was letting my daughter, my children, go in between his legs, and not just like standing in between his legs. No, like they would accidentally touch his private areas. He wouldn't do anything about it. He wouldn't move them. He wouldn't move their hands. He wouldn't tell them, hey, stop, don't do that. He was okay with it. And I had a problem with that, because if you'll do that, I feel like you'll touch my child. I'm not saying that he did, but I'm saying if you could do that, I feel like that you would touch my child, because my children are learning from you as their father. And if they learning this from you, like, I'd be goddamn if they go up to another man to do that shit, because I lose my motherfucking mind. My oldest daughter have done something like that, and now I don't fuck with that person anymore because of that. I don't trust that person, and I definitely don't trust my children's father. So yeah, he ends up letting her go between his legs. And it was just the other morning, I was, we woke up before the kids did, so I'm rubbing on him and stuff, and we all grown around here, so I'm just telling you, I was rubbing on him and he was getting hard, of course. And my daughter just so happens to wake up around that moment, and she come around the corner, she runs in the room and she's like, good morning, good morning. I'm like, good morning. So I stopped, of course, and he's still on hard. He didn't like get up, go to the bathroom. He's just laying there with his legs cocked wide open. So my baby's trying to climb onto the bed to me. I'm on the further side of the bed, but he's like right on the edge of the bed. So she's trying to climb on the bed, and she's only 2 years old, y'all. She's trying to climb on the bed, and she accidentally touches private area while he's on hard. He does not move her or anything. Then she's just standing there like, and he doesn't move her or anything. So she ends up climbing over him, on top of him. He still got his legs cocked wide open, didn't tell her to move or nothing. I had a problem with it. So I said something about it, but I was chill. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to start an argument. And then my youngest daughter was standing in between his legs. He got his legs cocked wide open, and she's like hitting his private area, and he's not doing anything about it. I said, why are you so comfortable with them touching your private area, and you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything about it, you're not telling them that that's wrong? They're learning. I'm trying to teach them boundaries, and if you're not helping me, they won't know what that means. You know, they don't know if that's not okay. I don't want them doing that to other men. Y'all, he got so fucking explosively angry at me like that. And then I told him to like get the baby off the bed, because my youngest daughter, she do this like really hard sometimes, and she'll do it on my stomach, and it hurts. It hurts sometimes. So I told him to move her off the bed, but him being so angry in that moment, he like tried to snatch her off the bed, but him trying to snatch her, he fucked around and her head, like he basically pushed her fucking head into the wall. So it pissed me off, and I started snapping, y'all. Like, I'm going ballistic on his ass. I'm like, bro, see, if you calm the fuck down, if you lost this goddamn attitude, why are you getting upset at me and angry because I'm telling you I'm not okay with them going between your legs? He talk about, well, I said, why is it that you're comfortable with them doing it? Is it because you're their father? He said, well, yes, and because I just feel like they're having fun. So I said, what the fuck is fun about a little baby touching your dick? And he went off, y'all, even more. And so started getting like really loud and stuff, and he is mad. Then he wants it to calm down. He wants me to hush all of a sudden. Well, no, bitch, there's nothing to hush about now. I'm pissed off. You playing with me and my kids. I'm not. You can do a lot of shit to me, but when it comes down to my kids, I'm not dealing with that shit. Absolutely not. No. Hell no. So I told him, you know what? I think you need to leave. He tried to argue with me about leaving. And so he decides all of a sudden now he wants to call his auntie, the same one that fought me, the same one he always calls when he's in trouble. He calls her, and now all of a sudden, y'all, it's like a flick switched on his ass all of a sudden. Yeah, bitch, fuck you, bitch. I get the fuck up out your house, you stupid bitch. And all these bitches and all type of stuff because he's on the phone. And I was like, you know what money are you bringing in? Because he's talking about he can take better care of my children than I can, and he gonna have them all by himself and all type of shit. And I was like, well, what money are you bringing in for your kids? You ain't bought nothing for your kids yet. All of a sudden it's well, I can't keep no money because you keep stealing it from me. First of all, you gotta bring some money in for me to steal it. Shit. What has I'm stealing? What, I'm stealing my own money that I'm bringing in around this motherfucker? You ain't brought a single dime in this house. You ain't brought none. For 3 years you've been living off of me. And so yeah, he ends up, I told him that, you know, do I need to get the police involved? All of a sudden, his auntie on the phone, so now he want to call the police. So now he calls the police and tries to make it seem like I'm being crazy and all this other stuff. He tells the police, will you tell her that she's getting mad at me because my kids are going between my legs? And like, he sounds stupid as hell, y'all. So, excuse me. And this ends up happening. The police end up coming over, and I told them he needs to be escorted out of my home. He's not welcome here. I told them how he put his hands on me earlier this year, and that I don't feel safe with him here. He needs to leave. He's not on my lease. He's not on none of the things that I have going. He's not supposed to be here. So yeah, all of a sudden they make him to pack all his things and leave. He's on the phone with his auntie talking all this shit about me. Now I done brought him down here and left him in the middle of nowhere, and I did that on purpose and all this sickly shit. And yeah, so that happens. He ends up having to leave. I go to the courthouse to file a restraining order, y'all, and the next day, mind you, this just happened yesterday. So I go to the courthouse to file a restraining order, and as I'm getting ready to leave, guess who's walking in the door? It's hubby. So he comes in and he sees me the whole time. What it was, see, he was trying to go in to try to file a case on me to get the kids taken from me because he was angry that he had to leave. But I so happened to, if I did not get there when I got there, I'm telling y'all, ain't nothing but God. Do y'all see how God work, baby? God don't play about me. If I did not get there in the time that I got there, he would have filed a case on me and tried to take the kids. Ew, yeah, this lip gloss is like all disgusting. I'm sorry, y'all. So he ends up yeah, so I'm walking out peacefully, by the way, with my children, and he snatches a paper out of my hand, the restraining order, and tries to give it to the officer, and he's trying to plead his case. Said, see, she's crazy, she's trying to do all this, and I just tried to file an order, so how can she get an order on me and all this and that, woo, da da da. And he's like causing a ruckus and stuff, and I'm just standing there calm as ever, y'all. And he ends up fucking the guy gives the paper back, and he ends up calling because so hubby tries to pick up my oldest daughter. I said no, we're not doing that. And so I grabbed my baby, and he tried to snatch her from me again, and I said no. So the police officer that was standing directly in front of us, seeing all this happen, ends up calling another officer and was like, basically, I'm getting harassed, and he's seeing this shit. So another officer came down and had to take hubby to another room, so that way that I can leave, like I was already originally doing. And yeah, so I ended up leaving, and now I am officially a single mother of about to be 3. And you know what? Honestly, it's not so hard. Like, the hardest part of it all was trying to take care of a grown-ass man, because I'm putting more into him than I'm even putting into my children. And I can admit that, because I thought that, I'm trying to pick him up where he's slacking at, when he should have been helping me. He should have been picking his own self up, y'all. He should have been picking his own self up. But I just needed to get that off my chest, y'all, because I've been sitting here for the past couple of days just trying to process this, and I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't know what to do. So I decided to make a video about it. And you know what? If y'all gonna laugh at me, laugh at me. I don't care. I don't care. Because guess what? At least I'm bold enough to tell my story and not act like my life is perfect, because it's not. But thank y'all for listening. So I love y'all, each and every one of y'all, and I really do appreciate y'all. Even if it's 2 views, thank y'all so much for just listening to me, because I genuinely don't have anybody. I don't have no family to call. I don't have a therapist anymore. It's just me and the walls, and I gotta get through this somehow. So, pray for me. I don't want, and let me tell y'all something, I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me, because you know what? I put myself in that predicament. Nobody put a gun to my head and told me to keep going back to that manipulation shit. But I just want to put my foot down, and I feel like making this video is a step in the right direction for myself, showing that I am officially fucking done. I'm done. game over. I can't take that shit anymore. I'm done. But yeah, thank y'all for listening. I love y'all, and I promise y'all, every time I tell a story, it's not gonna be all sad. I got some funny shit to talk about. Like, after this, I just want to leave this alone, but I needed to talk about it. I needed to get it off my chest. I wanted to tell y'all about me, and now y'all know about me. So yeah. All right, y'all, bye.